Then we will now turn to our last item for this morning session, but a very important one. It will be not last. I hope that we will move some. Agenda item 5K, countries at the center, the strategic role of country offices in the WHO European region. The relevant document can be found in euro/RC68/informational document/4. During the first meeting of the Standing Committee last September, it was agreed to set up a subgroup of SCRC members who would have the opportunity to visit the country offices and see firsthand how WHO works with and for the countries. These visits were open to all EB and SCRC members with the aim to inform them of how WHO activities impact at the country level, by all three levels working together in the country as coordinated by working group and country office. During this visit, the country office, the delegates could meet with WHO staff, but also with partners at country level, which would help to better inform the decisions by the member states at governing body meetings, especially in the light of the implementation of GPW 13. These visits were planned to provide different scenarios to the member states who attended. There were 4 visits so far: to Georgia, my own country, where WHO has a medium-sized country office in a country moving towards UHC, to Slovenia with a small country office to demonstrate the importance of a small country presence in high-income EU country, to the Russian Federation to show the different roles of a geographically dispersed office and country office, how they coordinate and work together in all 3 levels of the organization, to Turkey to see large country office in operational mode, working with the country and across 2 regions of WHO with multiple partners, donors and civil society. Before we start, let us watch a short video to give an impression of what happened. Please, video.
I think the European region has a lot to show to other regions in how we approach the needs of countries and how we work at the countries.
The WHO Regional Office for Europe has country offices in 30 of the 53 countries in its region. These offices, which range in size from 2 to 60 staff, allow ministries of health and other partners to work directly and closely with WHO.
We need to make sure that the investments of WHO in the countries are appropriate and that they give results. But it's very difficult to judge from outside how the country offices in reality work. So we agreed that it would be necessary to visit at least some of the countries and see how everything works in practice.
In 2017, WHO Europe invited European members of the Executive Board and members of the Standing Committee of the Regional Committee to visit country offices to gain first-hand insight into WHO's work at the country level and the added value it brings to achieve positive outcomes for health. All members of the Standing Committee took part in the first country office visit in Georgia in November 2017. This was followed by 3 visits with smaller groups in early 2018 to Slovenia, the Russian Federation, and Turkey.
We met different people from the Ministry of Health and academics and NGOs, etc. And what I realized that there was a common voice, that everybody told us that they believe in the WHO and the country office regarding the expertise. And whenever they turned to the office, they got the proper answer or the proper information. So the message was to me is that the WHO and the country office has a credibility in Turkey.
I was surprised and in a positive way, how good they work together. And I think the leadership of the Ministry of Health is very important for such a strong collaboration with the country office, and I think it helps a lot for the benefit for the people in the country.
The visits illustrated WHO's country work in varied contexts and gave members of governing bodies an opportunity to hear directly from partners at the country level, including ministers of health.
Поэтому мы благодарны высоким профессионалам, которые работают в страновом офисе, и считаем, что это часть, в том числе методологическая, организационная часть нашей общей команды системы здравоохранения Российской Федерации.
Technical cooperation between Slovenia and WHO Europe and all its units is extremely good, in particular in the last decade. We have done a lot of work together in improving health system performance, then in tobacco control, as well as in reducing health inequalities.
Tabii Türkiye sağlıkla dönüşümü 2003 yılında başladığında göstergeleri iyi olmayan bir ülkeydi. Özellikle anne ölümü, bebek ölüm oranları gibi. Bu son 15 yıllık serüvende Dünya Sağlık Örgütü ile bir işbirliği yapıyor Türkiye ve bu işbirliğiyle Türkiye sağlıkta bir dönüşüm gerçekleştirdi, bir model ortaya koydu.
Together, WHO country offices and their host countries are meeting difficult health challenges. The Turkey country office and the field office in Gaziantep manage a complex health response spanning regions, countries, and cultures. WHO brings together a range of partners, donors, volunteers, and health workers to provide medical services for Syrian refugees and coordinate the cross-border health response in northern Syria. It is a remarkable feat of partnership.
And then there's a whole network of coordinated action that takes place. People are met and greeted and told you are welcome and you are safe. Possibly the single most impacting message that they've had. Many people have come back and told us for their mental health, that has been the singular thing that has made them feel, I'm a human being.
The WHO European Office for the Prevention and Control of Non-Communicable Diseases, co-located with the country office in Moscow, is leading work on strengthening the NCD response in all 53 countries, with strong support from the Russian Federation.
Having a GDO, which is a technical unit, in this case very advanced and with a very big technical capacity, is important because we are close to the action. We are in the part of Europe where NCDs are more prevalent and they kill more people.
WHO country offices are also supporting countries to spur progress towards achieving ambitious health goals laid out in the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda and the Health 2020 policy framework.
Universal health coverage is about getting the services to those who need it at where they need it. And this is a huge opportunity for the country office. We are really connecting. We can see that this office will manage in advocating for applying all these values and principles from the Agenda 2030 into the implementation locally.
The future collaboration has to look into making sure that no one is left behind from the point of view of the services. But in the context of Turkey and a country which is responding to the regional crisis, is also to find solutions to make the world a better and safer place and to be able to support the other countries and the regions when it is needed.
The newly adopted 13th General Program of Work gives WHO a mandate to further strengthen its country-level work in the coming 5 years. The country visits illustrate WHO's day-to-day work in countries, but also show how the 3 levels of WHO come together to improve health. With this information, members of governing bodies can make clearer decisions about the work and funding of WHO.
I'm sure that the representatives of governing bodies now understand that even a small office with very low resources from the budget of WHO can bring a big difference and can be of big value to the country in health development and health investments.
It certainly has enhanced and deepened my ideas about it, and also gives me a lot more information and things to discuss and food for thought, and how we can do things better or how we can do things differently.
Мы же прекрасно знаем, что дружба – это очное понятие. Можно сколько угодно переписываться по имейлу или перезваниваться, но вы должны к маме ходить, вы должны другу жать руку, и вы должны с другим профессионалом обговаривать это все, глядя в глаза. Искренность – это основа принятия решений. Искренность и правда.
Country office staff are at the forefront in implementing our commitments. Everything we do with and for the countries, putting their health needs at the core. I would like to thank all member states for their commitment and excellent collaboration towards better health and well-being of the European population.
Thank you. I would like to thank all the country offices involved, and especially WRs, who have supported these visits and shows us the wealth of work WHO at the country level. Let me now invite Dr. Luciane Licari, Director of Strategic Relations with Countries and Communication, to introduce this topic. Dr. Licari, you have the floor, please.
Mr. President, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Major progress has taken place in the way WHO works at country level over the past 9 years. The European Policy Framework, Health 2020, the WHO reform process, and more recently the 13th General Programme of Work and the Transformation Agenda have further shaped the way we work with, for, and in countries. Over the years, we have almost completed the shift from national to internationally led country offices. We have trained and converted our national heads of country offices, promoting them to international WHO representatives. We have improved and aligned our tools to our policies, rolling out country cooperation strategies in countries without country offices. We have tightened the way we work across the 3 levels of the organization and ensured a cross-cutting approach to our delivery at country level. the General Programme of Work and its focused discussion on countries at the centre continues to mobilise change to ensure our country offices are becoming more fit for purpose to achieve impact at the country level. This has always been the vision of our regional director, who has constantly promoted bottom-up planning and emphasised the added value of WHO at the highest political levels. Health 2020 has steered our work across the different levels of governance and civil society, across multi-country networks which have served to ensure the exchange of good practice and experience, whilst maintaining the political momentum at the regional level. However, the smaller sizes of our country offices as compared to country offices in other regions limits the possible expansion required to be able to adequately implement GPW 13. It challenges our ability to be readily available to assist with policy dialogues, provide strategic support, technical assistance, and coordinated service delivery to all 53 member states. The Euro model is based on the provision of strategic direction and technical support from the regional office, as guided by global policies and backstopped, if and as necessary, by WHO headquarters. But in order to be well prepared for the GPW 13 and the new programme budget, we are therefore exploring creative and cost-effective ways of providing more support to our countries without unduly expanding the staffing within our country offices. As you heard from our Director of Programme Management earlier this week, this includes, amongst other things, placing some international staff in sub-regional locations where they can be readily mobilized to the countries that need their support on a more regular basis. In WHO Euro, impact has always been our objective and has to date been possible through a close collaboration between all three levels of the organization by our country offices. However, impact at the country level is also dependent on the close partnerships that we have with you, the member states, and on the synergies that we have developed with you over the years. We highly appreciate this trustful relationship that you have built with our staff in the regional office, as well as in the country offices, which has contributed to the successful and positive outcomes in health that we have heard about throughout this week. Other partnerships at country level have also been crucial to achieving impact at the country level. Over the past years, we have actively participated in UN country teams, contributing to the planning and implementation of UNDAPs, leading the health cluster coordination, and even taking up the role of regional coordinators whenever necessary. This has enabled us to strategically place WHO as a central and important member of the UN family. This has been mirrored at the regional level too, where, with the participation of our regional director in the regional UN Sustainable Development Group, health has been raised as a critical component to achieve SDGs. WHO is the lead agency for the issue-based coalition on health and well-being for all at all ages, and it collaborates on two other issue-based coalitions on gender and social protection. Whilst continuing to ensure close coordination with our sister agencies at the global, regional, and national level, we must ensure that our mandate as a specialized agency for health is preserved and respected. As you can see, we are used to and have experience of working with our UN partners, and UN reform does not reform major change in the way we work. But it does not mean that we should not maintain our specialized focus. The recent appointment of our regional director as chairperson of the regional UN Sustainable Development Group is a step in the right direction for ensuring this. At the meeting with the WRs held earlier this week, our Director General reminded us that all countries have fault lines, and that, therefore, we are an organization that must serve and work with all our countries. We therefore really appreciate the availability of national counterparts in all our 53 member states throughout the region, who are an important and regular liaison point, not only for the strategic desk officers in the regional office, but for all the staff of the WHO Regional Office for Europe. Ladies and gentlemen, the visits organized by our regional director for our governing body members were intended to better inform how we work for, with, and in our countries. These visits allowed the participants to experience firsthand how the country offices serve as the platform on which all three levels of WHO come together to work shoulder to shoulder with ministries and partners in a coordinated manner. The visits exposed them to actual human and financial resources available at the country level in different settings. But moreover, they even provided an opportunity to the host countries to showcase major achievements for health in partnership with WHO. More details will follow from the chairperson of our subgroup countries at the center, Dr. Vesna Kirsten Petric. But I do hope that in this short time, I have managed to give you a flavor of how the WHO Regional Office for Europe works with, in, and for our countries. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Luciane. I would now ask Dr. Vesna Kerstin Petric, chair of the subgroup of Standing Committee, to add here her views.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm challenged now because in the video you have seen it most. I think the video is really impressive. I have seen it for the first time, and it's really telling you how it works on the ground and what it was all about our visits. But nevertheless, I would anyway want to report to you a little bit. Maybe I should first thank Susanna because she actually responded to our need to better understand the country work and launched this initiative and invited me as a chair of the group to participate. And really, I thank you for this wonderful journey. And I would also like to thank Lucienne and her team, because they supported us in every visit with all the documentation in advance. Everything was prepared so we could read in advance about the countries. And also they steered us in these visits very well. So everything was so well organized. Thank you. I would also like to thank the WRs, because I know that in their daily routine, which is very demanding, they had to, in addition, take care of us visitors and spend 2 days with us. But not only that, they had to prepare the visits, and this actually meant that they had to invite a lot of people to the meetings with us. It was, again, very well organized. And we shouldn't forget that also all visited countries, and it was not just, Turkey, Slovenia, and Russia, it was also Georgia, and also Romania presented their work in the country, the country office work in the country, the World Health Assembly, and I believe many of you were there and were listening to what they do. And also this is a tremendous investment from the countries to, to deal with us curious people and show us how they work with WHO. So I would like to also to thank all those people at ministries and elsewhere that took their time. And at the end, I would say also several other organizations contributed. At one hand, GDO in Russia, but also collaborating centers also in Russia, in Turkey, the civil society organizations, they also contributed to our visits. So we actually got a really good insight of not only amount of work, but of how many people in different organizations are involved into implementation of what we are deciding about here at this committee, for example. We have often been worried about, what does actually happen in all these countries when we decide upon something in the regional committee. Well, I can say that these things that we decide here are taken really seriously and they are implemented, and the country offices are actually the most important element, in my view, now after all these visits in many countries. Of course, we implement also in the countries where there are no country offices, but we have to be realistic. Countries have different capacities, and some of the countries, and here now I'm speaking only of my country, we really use well the capacities of WHO, which is 2 people in my country. It's only 2 people, but these 2 people contribute enormously. And in some other countries, the challenge is much bigger, like refugees, and Russia is a very big country, so the problems are a bit bigger, maybe because of, being so big. But that was my impression from these visits. I have to say that what has been demonstrated to us was, the leadership of country offices and also their role to coordinate and to assure concerted action in whatever is going on in the country. I was impressed, how familiar they were with people in the parliament, with people, with NGOs, with ambassadors, with almost anyone in the field that, in the health field that is working there and trying to contribute to health and common good. This was really, really impressive. Of course, they also do advocacy and they bring knowledge and they provide trainings. But I think this role as mediators, as going around and getting everyone on board, so that anybody can contribute in more organized way, I think this is their main strength, actually. I think I forgot to thank, all the people that bothered to go, and these were EB members also, not only standing committee members, and go to these countries. And I think we were asking also difficult questions, We were asking questions about also the funding and, the staff and so on. I have to admit that I got all the answers that were asked, and it was clear that these offices operate very efficiently, and we should not forget that, efficiency has its limits. It was quite clear in some cases that maybe we would need to invest further in staff at these offices. I'm not speaking of big enlargements, but while talking to people working in these offices, I could see how important it is for national staff to cooperate and work within the offices, maybe as a technical part of staff, but also perhaps as supporting WHRs in their coordinating role, because they can then bring more of the context in the country, so the office has a better insight. So I think we should consider this, and nevertheless we should understand that all of this needs to be also put into the GPW 13 correctly, so we have to plan in the future for the offices. I think I can finish here by saying that I was really impressed by how many people are in the countries. Of course, WHO people, but also at the ministries, civil servants, and also people in non-NGOs, and people at collaborating centers that are really focusing on health. And I'm very, very optimistic about the implementation of SDGs, because I can see that there is a big force of people that will be able to support this implementation during the next years. I hereby conclude my report as a chair of the subgroup and open the floor for discussion.
Thank you, Dr. Petric. Thank you very much. As you have heard, this initiative has been also discussed at global level as a good example. So we might have more reporting on this also from the global perspective. Let me now open the floor for discussion. Those delegates who want to take the floor, please raise your nameplate. As I am informed in Norway, yes, Norway, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I am speaking on behalf of the 8 countries Denmark, Finland, Germany, Iceland, Latvia, Netherlands, Norway, and Sweden. We note the document on the strategic role of country offices presented to the committee. We appreciate the efforts of the regional office to inform member states about work being undertaken by a selection of country offices in the region. We believe this model for increasing understanding of the work of the country offices should be expanded to include all member states and exported to other regions, including opportunity to visit country offices in other regions. Country offices play a crucial role in assisting member states to implement recommended health policies. With the implementation of the new GPW, the Director General seeks to strengthen the role of the country offices as well as to increase their resources. With an enhanced role of country offices, it is especially important that the specific role and key features of WHO country offices are well established and communicated, inter alia for member states to have an understanding of resource requirements for the country level. Transparency and accountability for results and for resources spent at country level are fundamental if WHO is to be successful in mobilizing the extra resources needed. We appreciate the information given in the report, including results achieved. We also note that the reflections presented towards the end of the document only contain positive statements. We would have appreciated including an analysis of any challenges and problems faced by country offices. including in their interaction and alignment with the regional office and headquarters. Making the points for potential improvement and inviting further reflection would have been more conducive point of departure for a principled discussion on the role and resource requirements of WHO country offices. In order to keep governing bodies informed and for member states to provide strategic guidance on the broader outlines of this important part of WHO, our countries were part of a larger group at the WHA in May asking for a paper to be presented to EB 144 in January next year, which would include core functions, staffing, resources, the relationship with the Ministry of Health and other authorities, and collaboration with other UN agencies. We urge the regional director to advocate through meetings of the Global Policy Group for such a document to be presented in January 2019, since it is of relevance for discussing the draft program budget for 2020 to 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Norway. I would like to ask delegate from Russian Federation, followed by Poland.
President, the Russian Federation supports the report on the activities of the country offices of the WHO. We feel that the creation of the country offices is part of good practice, and it enables us to improve the opportunities of the regional office and to carry out work in priority areas that countries themselves have defined through mobilization of resources, expertise and knowledge. Within the last year of work, the office in Moscow has carried out great work, and we're supporting it financially, and the work has proven to be very effective. And we have assessed the work that is being carried out. Risk factors have been identified on NCDs, and consultations were carried out on rational nutrition and physical activity. Many seminars were carried out for health leaders, and we have also strengthened intersectoral cooperation when it comes to reducing and preventing NCDs. According to the report of the EU NGA on NCDs, countries in Central Asia and Eastern Europe have got trends that move towards reducing NCDs, and this happened thanks to the active work of the NCD office. I would like to note the effective work of the WHO, and we note the potential of further work. The Ministry of Health and other agencies have developed a questionnaire on financing for targeted groups on preventing NCDs. This has allowed us to use the approaches that have been developed in the European region and have proven effective, and that they can be spread to the other regions of the WHO. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The delegate of Poland, followed by delegate former Yugoslavian Republic of Macedonia.
Thank you, Mr. President. Madam Regional Director, colleagues, Poland would like to thank the Regional Office for its report on country visits and would like to congratulate the country offices visited for the work done. The assistance provided by country office in drafting and implementing national plans and strategies, the technical and analytical support, all can be valuable and helpful. There also are country offices that provide direct help by delivering hospital equipment, vaccinations and training, as the end of biennium performance assessment report discussed on Monday informs in detail. This, in our opinion, brings tangible evidence that such country offices need to be strengthened and fortified. The report on country offices, but also the report on GDOs, gives food for thought on the most valuable form of W engagement in work with countries and its representation in the countries. Therefore, we would like to kindly suggest further reflection on the best, most efficient and most effective way of providing support to the countries, taking into account the specific situation and needs of each of the WHO Euro member states. Last but not least, as this agenda point is dedicated to country presence, please allow me to take the opportunity and thank Dr. Paulina Karwowska for her long service as the head of country office in Poland and welcome her successor, Dr. Paloma Kryci. Thank you.
Thank you, Poland. The delegate of former Yugoslavian Republic of Macedonia, you have a floor, followed by Germany.
Thank you. Your Excellency, Mr. Director General, Madam Regional Director, Honorable Ministers, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. I have the honor to speak as a chair of CEHN and the 9 member states of the Southeast European Health Network, who have associated themselves with this statement: Albania, Bulgaria, Bosnia and Herzegovina, the State of Israel, Republic of Moldova, Montenegro, the Republic of Macedonia, Romania, and the Republic of Serbia. I would like to use this final occasion within the Regional Committee 68 framework and express once again our true gratitude to the World Health Organization and in particular to its European Regional Office and our Regional Director, Dr. Zuzana Jakab, for her tremendous support over the last decade to the CEHN, which make the CE region voice be heard, for supporting us to advise public health gains and our genic and aim and our commitment to achieve the CDGs 2030. Additionally, I would like to underline and appraise the work done by each 9 countries' offices in the member countries of CEHN, WHO country offices, staff, and leadership have continuous dialogue with CEHN and Secretariat, which strengthening and streamline the efforts of the Southeast European Health Network, aligned with the Health 2020, committing to intergovernment policies for the achievement of the 2030 agenda. Moreover, I would like to highlight the particular hard work and enormous energy that we dedicate by the WHO Euro, head of department, and the WHO countries representative, who are at the core and the substance of the both ministerial conference that we organized during this year on immunization in Podgorica and on PHC for aging population in Tel Aviv. Finally, I would like to express our most sincere appreciation for the regional directors, personnel team, and especially Dr. Luciana Licari, Special Representative to the Southeast European Health Network, for her daily commitment, endless support, and dedication towards our regional partnership and common efforts to the well-being of the Southeastern region. We are grateful for the excellent technical leadership that enable us to a better cooperation and driving regional partnership that at the same time allows Southeastern European Health Network countries to be able to represent their national policies and to have greater goals as a region, turning health policies and decisions into reality. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. I would like to invite delegate of Germany, followed by Estonia.
Thank you very much, President. First of all, I would like to thank the WHO for the report and the video. Now, our region, as has been said on many occasions, plays a leading role when it comes to transparency about the work that the WHO does at a country level and exchange with the WHO and also the heads of countries as well. We think that's very important indeed, because about 40% of the resources, financial and staffing resources, are implemented in the countries themselves at the WHO at a global level, and that makes a fundamental difference as to whether we are talking about the work that is done in the country offices very far away from where the work is actually carried out. And so it's very important that we can get a good idea of what is done on the ground through these reports. And so the visits are very important, and I think this is something that should be continued. We also welcome the exchange during the regional committee on the topic, and also the personal exchanges that we have with the WRs and the heads of country offices. And these exchanges are inspiring and very good indeed, because you can really sense the commitment and personal engagement of the people who are involved. It's really tangible during these exchanges, and you can really thank them for the remarkable work that they do on the ground. It also shows the central role that the WHO plays when it comes to implementation of the health-relevant SDGs. Our country offices in the European region are de facto the smallest in comparison to other regions. They have fewer staff and they have less financial resources consequently. And there's very good reasons for this, of course. And that's why we're meeting here. There are indeed health challenges in our region which we need to tackle jointly. Country offices, of course, play a key role in this respect. Against this backdrop, we find it astonishing that in the high-level programme and budget, which we discussed on Monday, when one looks at the figures, we can ascertain that in all countries there are more resources for the country offices, 6 or 7%, and one exception here. That's our region. Here it's just 3%. And in the programme budget discussion, this wasn't really brought up that much, but I think it's worth thinking about. It really does make a big difference. And what is the reason for this? So we could perhaps have a discussion about this now. Another point that I wanted to make was that yesterday during the exchanges at breakfast time, we had a very good discussion, and the WHO reform has a fundamental reform on the work on the ground. And so it will also have fundamental differences, a fundamental impact in our country offices. It's also clear that none of us is responsible for what that actually means. Potentially, it can have there can be many positive aspects, but there can also be negative implications for the WHO work on the ground. And it's a major challenge for all of the people sitting in this very room. Therefore, in our view, the heads of country office and WHRs could be asked as to how the reform will be implemented on the ground. That's a task which will be done in Geneva, I believe. We could have recommendations as to how the WHO reform will be implemented on the ground. And in my view, we need to put pressure on Geneva to answer this question so we have clear answers. We can all make a contribution to this. We can talk about this in the WHA and the EB. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Germany. The delegates of Estonia, followed by Czech Republic, please.
Thank you, Chair. Estonia is an example of a country where a small but efficient country office, together with European Regional Office technical support, responds flexibly to country needs and makes use of windows of opportunities to advance the health agenda. We have had excellent experience with the WHO country office for Estonia during the last decade, but even longer. It has allowed us to get the best experts and advice for advocating health issues and shaping our health policies when we need the most. Some highlights I would like to mention here. Preparation for the very difficult debates we had on tobacco law in our parliament, evidence brief for the sugar-sweetened beverages, and increasing financing for health and broadening its revenue base. Finally, I would like to express my and our ministry gratitude for the current head of our country office, an excellent health diplomat, Marge Reinap, who has been excellently convening partners and advancing health issues across sectors and policy levels through facilitating WHO policy advice and technical assistance. Our gratitude goes also to the previous head of our country office, Jarno Habit, who is also an excellent health diplomat and has contributed to the health development in Estonia, Moldova, and Kyrgyzstan. Thank you.
Thank you, Estonia. The delegate of Czech Republic, followed by United Kingdom.
Thank you. Chair, Regional Director, distinguished delegates. The Czech Republic appreciates the priority given in the 13th General Programme of Work to the engagement of the WHO at the country level and considers the countries at the center, the strategic role of country offices in the WHO region report as a rather successful attempt to show the prospects of this being done in practice. The Czech Republic agrees that it would be beneficial to organize more country office visits in the future to see the impact of the GPW 13 at country level, but also to learn more about the amount of work some of the country offices are doing with such low personnel and other capacities, including those in high-income countries. These visits can send a clear signal to country offices that their activities present one of the pillars of the WHO's work. The Czech Republic has a brand new experience with the WHO representative system, which is so far really positive. Some new perspectives for cooperation among the Ministry of Health, other Czech entities, and the country office have been opened by the appointment of an international expert as the WHO representative in the Czech Republic. For a country such as ours, foreign expertise can be very rewarding, in particular from the point of view of a better perception of the WHO added value for a high-income country. Beside the activities stated in the BCA, we are prepared to work with the country office very closely on sharing the Czech expertise with the WHO via the existing collaborating center, Institute for the Care of Mother and Child in Prague, and possibly via the establishment of another one in the future. We see a great potential in inter-country cooperation at the regional level. Closer cooperation among the country offices of the Visegrad Group could bring unique opportunities for the organization in general. This being said, in future, there may be a need for evaluation of the operation of the WHO representative systems, and issues such as the language barriers in communication between the WHO representative and local experts, this being the first thing we could observe after the appointment of an international expert to our country office. To conclude, the Czech Republic would encourage the strengthening of links between the WHO headquarters, the regional office, and country offices. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. The delegate of United Kingdom, followed by Greece.
Thank you, Chair. I can save time and effort by just intervening to support the joint statement delivered previously by Norway. If I could just add the United Kingdom to fully supporting that statement. Thank you.
Thank you. United Kingdom. I would like to ask delegate of Greece and same time the Deputy Executive President, Dr. Baskosus, please.
Thank you, President. Dear delegates, permit me to announce with great pleasure and inform you about the opening of the new country office in Athens, and inform you about the visit of General Director Tedros and RD Susanna Jakab last June. I want to specially thank the Regional Director Susanna Jakab and all the officials and welcome the head of the country office, Dr. Mariana Trias. The relations with WHA Europe are going to improve and extend. Also, let me express my agreement with the extreme usefulness of the visits in country offices. The experience in Moscow, it was very interesting. And let me express my congratulations to the officers of the country office and the GDO for their work, and also Russian Federation for the hospitality. But also, let me express my thanks to the government of Georgia and my friend and Executive President Amiran for the visit in Tbilisi. It was very, very interesting, very usefulness, and very enjoyable. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Vasconcelos. I would like now give the floor to delegate of Turkey. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Chair. I just want to thank Vesna as the representative for SCRC team visiting Turkey. Indeed, it's not only a single-sided visit which SCRC members learns how WHO country office and health system interacts together, but also gives hosting country to renew some commitments with their questions and contributions, and they raise awareness by visiting different actors in the sector. It was a great pleasure for us to see them in Turkey, and we appreciate Regional Director, Regional Office, and Lucian, especially for enabling us such an interaction occur in our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Turkey. I have no more delegates requesting the floor from the member states, as well as I see not from the NGOs, and I'd like to ask Dr. Luciane Licari to respond.
Thank you very much, all the member states, first of all, for all your interest in this area of work, and also for all the very constructive and positive, I may say, comments that I have received, or we have received this morning. I will take one or two individually and then pass over to the regional director to also make some comments, as this is also her direct role in liaising and supervising the regional offices. I would like to thank Norway and all the countries that Norway represents for their comments, and I take note of the fact that you have made some suggestions on the report. Indeed, we do understand that it could provide a little more results perhaps, and also the challenges that we are facing at country level. We will take this on board, and we will ensure that we bring out more clearly the analysis of the challenges that we are facing in relation to the various aspects that I have presented already this morning, and maybe any others that may be important for you to know. I would also like to thank Poland for their comments. I took on board especially your comment in how we should be tailor-made to the needs of the countries, and this is precisely what we are working on at the moment. As I briefly touched upon, we are having discussions internally in the WHO regional office with our WRs and our directors to understand the implications of the GPW13 and how we can ensure that we become more fit for purpose for the countries individually, but at the same time to ensure that we keep the same strategic direction of work that is called upon us by the global policies. So we are still in the process of fine-tuning the resources, that human and financial, and we hope that we will be ready on this subject by the end of this year to be ready for the program budget 2019 and 20. There is a retreat already taking place with the WRs at the end of this week, where this is precisely on the agenda, and where we will be focusing in on discussing exactly the resources that we need. Thank you, Russian Federation, for highlighting even further the important role that the GDO plays even in delivering country work, of course, under the coordination and collaboration with the country office that is also in the Russian Federation. And also I'd like to thank the former Republic of Macedonia and all the Southeastern European Health Network for their ongoing trust in us as an organization, and for the way that they work with us and through us and our country offices to ensure that we're making together a significant change at the sub-regional level as well. I'd like to thank Germany for the comments and the support that they have always provided to us. I take note of the fact that this may be an even more important discussion to take forward to Executive Board, and we will discuss internally what exactly we need to prepare and what we can put forward that will enable such a discussion. And we will liaise with the Director of Administration and Finance, with the Partnerships Director and the WRs, of course, and seek guidance from our Regional Director on how to take this forward. I took note of the comments by the Czech Republic to see precisely what the WRs actually need. It would be a good idea to bring forward more the challenges that they are facing in many areas, and to perhaps bring this forward also to you in a more clear perspective. Yes, I'd like to also take this opportunity to thank the countries that we visited, which were, as you heard already, Georgia, Slovenia, Turkey, and Russian Federation, for their kind hospitality to us all. It was not only a tremendous load of work for the Secretariat, although a pleasure to do so, but it also had a lot of implications for the host country, who were very, very kind and hospitable and really provided anything that we needed to make sure that these visits were a success. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the member states that hosted us, and I'd like to inform the plenary that we do intend to carry on with these visits, and we will discuss internally how much broader and how it would be possible to include more member states in such visits. I'd also like to close here by thanking the chair of this subgroup, Dr. Vesna Kirsten-Petric, because it was with her clear leadership and her suggestions and ideas that we managed to take these visits forward. It was her indications and her own personal experience that enriched the various discussions, as you have heard witnessed by the delegates that were present. And I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank all the WHO representatives who I basically am representing today, because without them we would not be able to provide a coordinated and cross-sectoral and positive impact for health at the country level. Thank you for your comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Luciani. I would like to ask Regional Director to wrap up this important session.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And first of all, let me join Lucian in thanking our WHO representatives in the countries who are doing a fantastic job, and it's always refreshing to talk to them because they are close to the ground, they are close to you, and they always bring back the most recent information and feedback that we need for our work. But I'd like to use this opportunity also to thank Lucian, who is my extended hand and right hand in this work, together with her very able team. And without them, it would be impossible for us to have such a coordinated approach to our work in the countries. Also, special thanks to Vesna Petric, who has been working with us throughout the year, and it was extremely useful, Vesna, because you know both WHO, you know the needs and the requirements of the countries of the ground, and it is very easy for you to link the two, and you are a very important advisor for this type of work.
So I hope that you will continue to lead our SCRC subgroup also in the year to come. After all these thanks, I have to tell you that I was very encouraged by this discussion, and I'm very pleased to hear your positive feedback on the initiative of the country visits and also the discussions that we have in the regional committee and before the regional committee in the SCRC on how we work with the countries. And it was also encouraging for me to hear that you interacted quite a lot with our WHO representatives here in the regional committee, and you welcomed their presence here. And I think it was also an eye-opener for Dr. Tedros when he saw that all the WRs are here in our regional committee, and he promised that he will initiate a similar process also in the other regional committees and also in the global governing bodies. Actually, we already agreed in one of the previous GPG discussions that at least a subset of WHO representatives should attend executive board and World Health Assembly sessions, partly to give them exposure to the global governing bodies, but partly also for member states to give the opportunity to interact with them. It's very encouraging to see your support to this area of work and also to see that you welcomed the visit to the countries, because that helps member states to understand better how we operate at the country level. And as long as you find these visits useful, we are very pleased to continue with them. We still have one pending visit to Kyrgyzstan, which we had to postpone because of the availability of the SCRC EB members, but we still have it on our radar, and we want to reschedule it for early next year after the executive board. And any other country visits that you find useful, we will organize for you. Having said this, I listened very carefully to the comments made by Norway on behalf of the 8 countries, and then now UK joined, and some of them picked up also separately by Germany. And I think the DG is very open to move forward along the lines as Norway has requested. He already confirmed in his reply to your statement after his address to the regional committee that he was already considering to organize a similar visit to the, I think it was one of the African countries, maybe it was Congo probably, or he mentioned one of the countries, but he's very open to this. And I'm sure that that will go ahead and take place pretty soon. And then he also heard you saying after his speech that you would like him to put this very relevant, very important topic on the agenda of the global governing bodies. And I heard you loudly and clearly expressing this need again in the Norwegian statement. So I will send him a WhatsApp message right away, because we have a very active health diplomacy with him through WhatsApp, and I will tell him that this is coming. And the next Monday we have a GPG meeting anyhow in New York, so I will even personally bring this message back to him and ask him to make this happen for the executive board in January 2019 with all the elements that you have highlighted. So I will do my best for this. The other issue and of course also to the other regional director colleagues, because what Norway also said, that this approach should be exported also to the other parts of the organization. So I guess also in the other regional offices, it would be quite useful to engage the regional committees with the same process. The other issue I wanted to raise with you is that in the European region, we have a different approach to the country presence than in many of the other regions. We have a much more integrated approach. As we call it, the Euro-specific business model. It's a much more integrated approach where we integrate what the regional office is doing, what we are doing at sub-regional, multi-country level, and what we are doing in our country-specific work. The reason why we have this integrated approach is partly because we have a huge number of countries, partly because our budget is pretty limited, and therefore even if we wanted, we could not build up technical capacity on a country-by-country basis. Plus, I think that this integrated model is much more efficient and effective than to build up technical capacity in every country. Having said that, we also need some additional capacity. We are blessed to have the GDOs because the GDOs already bring some extended capacity to the capacity we have in the regional office. You have heard yesterday the discussion on the financial protection. It would have been totally and entirely impossible for us to do this work, to do this support, and to support you on universal health coverage in the way as we do if we did not have the center in Barcelona. And I could explain the same also for environment and health with the Bonn office, which is also doing a lot of global work to develop normative functions and air quality guidelines. I could say the same about social protection with the Venice office here, which is also doing quite a lot of normative work for the organization and for the global level. And then not to mention the GDO and NCDs in Moscow or the primary healthcare GDO in Almaty. And then we are building up one more also in Istanbul on health emergencies. So these GDOs are absolutely vital for our technical capacity. But even with these GDOs and with the capacity that we have in Copenhagen, we do not have sufficient technical capacity to give support to all the requirements and all the requests that we get from the countries, and sometimes we have to delay the action which would have been appreciated by the countries much earlier. So having said that, this brings me to the topic that Germany has raised as the program budget 2020-21, and also in the course of the program budget discussions, this came up. Why does this region get less support from the global program budget than the other regions? We gave some explanations, but we have to continue with this discussion. So the DG heard you. I will again take back this message, and we have unique opportunities to continue this discussion also as we move forward. On the strategic budget space allocation, we use the formula. So we explained that to you. We use the formula, but that formula applies only for the country segment, country portion. It does not apply for the other portions. So when we review the other portions, and for example, the polio transition planning, then we have to see also whether the funding that comes should remain with the 17 high priority countries, or should we consider it also for other parts of the WHO, particularly considering the fact that the money will be used also for other priorities, like immunization, like surveillance. And in our region, for example, immunization is an outstanding priority. So I heard you loud and clear that we need to link this discussion also to the program budget discussion, and I could not agree with you more than this. And finally, in our region, we will continue to keep this item on the agenda of the regional committee, and this will be preceded by standing committee discussions. And there were some comments that are very useful to pick up when we continue with this discussion, like, for example, the comment that Poland has made, which I think is very useful to see the country presence also in the light of the needs and capacities of the member states and develop further the criteria. Of course, this is an issue that we have to put into the global context also, because it's quite difficult to develop criteria for country presence only in one region, and we have to look at the whole issue together. So this is why this discussion should start in the global governing bodies, but then we should follow up also at the regional level, particularly when it comes to region-specific priorities. I strongly believe in the strength and in the importance of the country presence, both for you and for us. As I always say, I would love to see country offices also in the high-income countries, in all of them. I know it will never happen, but just to flag up that in our collaboration we miss it in some of the high-income countries, and therefore we have to find some ways and means how we replace it with other ways of collaboration in the high-income countries. So, Chairman, I will stop here. I could talk about this topic for a full day, but I don't think that's very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Regional Director, for excellent summarizing this very, very important issue for further strengthening the work of WHO in region.